What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. If you've joined us before, which maybe you have, maybe you haven't, I don't have my co-host here today. It's just me, and that's all right. Yeah, today I wanted to talk about me quitting drinking for good, and how I kind of know that or how I discovered why I don't want to drink anymore. We'll also be talking about how to deal with your thoughts, basically, and try not to react to them. It's definitely something that's been going on in my life a lot recently, and so it's just something I wanted to talk about. Let me move this freaking bottle out of the way from view number 2. So yeah, when it comes to reacting to your thoughts, it's something that we do just so naturally. Like, we don't even think think about it when we're doing it, because when a thought comes in, we basically react to it. We've never actually stood back. And I'm speaking for myself here, but I'm sure I'm speaking, broadly. A lot of people probably relate to what I'm talking about. But yeah, for me, anytime a thought comes in, I basically just say it. I actually don't really hold my tongue at all. I should be somebody who is a little bit more reserved with my words. But I'm learning that through life, and I feel like everything happens for a reason. When I was younger, one thing I can remember vividly is being a kid, and sometimes my friends talking crap about me, saying, oh, they don't like hanging out with you because you complain too much. And that's the first time I ever heard that. I didn't even know what a complaint was. I mean, obviously I knew what a complaint was, but I didn't know that I was complaining by just saying how I felt about everything. And that was the first time, and that was probably when I was 13 or 14. The first time I ever got a feeling like that of do I talk too much? But that's just kind of how my life went. I just, I use my words to protect myself. I use my words to fit in. I was always trying to be funny because, that's how you get the most attention. And I feel like that's how I got attention in my household. So, I would try to be funny a lot and try to stand out. And then to not look bad when I was in school. I'm sure that's why I became a class clown. A lot of the teachers said a lot of mean things to me all the time about, I would never amount to anything. And this is back when, you can get away with whatever as a teacher. There are no cell phones in school or anything like that. But yeah. That sucks for anybody, obviously. But for me, I feel like it was a blessing in disguise, really, because I swear, every little thing in my life pushed me to be who I am today. But that's another story for another time. But yeah, so for my whole life, I've been a communicator. I've been someone who talks their way out of things, talks their way into things, talks people into things. I was told at a very young age I should be a lawyer, just because I guess I see things from different perspectives, and can convince you of pretty much anything. And that's actually how I end up in sales. I sell my jewelry that I make, and I sell it online and in person. I obviously do better in person because I can communicate and talk to somebody. But any job I've ever had, I've always been a communicator. And my whole life I've always just spoken what I thought. And I feel like that's always going back to my childhood, you either loved me or you hated me growing up. And I think that's kind of the same way now. I'm a little bit more reserved with my words, and I kind of hold it back a little bit. But I feel like, and I'm trying to grow and learn more about it. But I feel like it's not, it's not really the real me. So people don't really get the real me a lot of times. They kind of get this this wall in front nowadays. But maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I don't really know. But what I have been trying to do recently is, instead of reacting to my thoughts, or even just trying to stay quiet on things, I just I sit back and I observe my thoughts. Especially since I've quit doing alcohol, quit drinking. That's been a real big game changer, because I quit for 2 years before, and that was really nice. Felt really good, and for some reason wish it didn't happen, but like I said, everything happens for a reason, so it was a good learning opportunity. But I drank again, and from that point on, kind of kept drinking, and just recently decided to quit about 2 weeks ago or so. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I went through all that just to realize that I don't need alcohol. I don't need it at all. It's bad for you. But when quitting again, well, actually not even while quitting, because when I quit and started drinking again, we'd be at places working, vending or something, or hanging out in areas where there was just alcohol available. And for me, my thoughts would come in my head of like, I just want to have a beer. And then, I always feel like really guilty about these thoughts for some reason. But, and so I don't like to because if I was by myself, not with Kaylee, I wonder if I would be drinking or not, if I would actually like go and just grab the drink myself. But like, it's something about like me wanting to drink and knowing that she doesn't want to or doesn't want me to, makes it feel like, well, why can't I, why can't I drink or whatever? And it's just like my ego's way of like trying to like protect myself and make me feel better about my thoughts and my decisions or whatever. But so yeah, that's been going on. And with that, I've been trying to observe my thoughts. So like that was going on when I didn't quit, and then we decided to quit again. Yeah, it was more my decision. Kaylee doesn't have the problem like I do. Like she could have 1 or 2 beers sometimes and be fine. But for me, when I have 1 or 2 beers, I just want to like keep going and partying and whatnot. But yeah, so Kaylee doesn't really have this problem. So I kind of made this decision on myself. And if she wants to drink whatever, she can. I don't care. It's just for me personally. I don't feel good when I'm drinking before, during, or after. I just like think that I'm gonna. So I start drinking, and then like when I'm drunk, I'm just being a dick or just not being myself, which I don't like being. So, I decided on my own to quit. And with that, now I've been observing my thoughts when it comes to like wanting to drink. So let's just say, we're hanging out at a place where there's alcohol, instead of me being like, oh no, I want to drink. And then start thinking about like Kaylee and stuff. And like, that's me reacting to my thoughts. That's me being like, starting to feed into them and whatnot. But instead of me thinking those things, when a thought comes in of like me wanting to drink, I kind of sit back and like think of like what made that thought come into my mindset. Is it the fact that I'm around alcohol? Is it the smell? Is it the look? Or is it just because, is this something that I really am craving? And then, the 90-second rule will kick in at a certain point. 90 seconds, obviously. And then that thought will actually pass and I won't even be craving the alcohol anymore. So it wasn't even like something like if I just reacted to that craving and started drinking, then we're in for a day or night of drinking, because like I said, I have that problem where I can't just have 1 or 2. But even if I was just having 1 or 2, it puts me in a lower vibration that we'll talk about here in a second. But for as far as the thoughts go, I extended that in more into my life, not with just drinking, so it really started with the fact that, excuse me, when I start talking, I get a little burpy in the beginning of the talks, but, so what was I saying? So when it came to drinking, that's when I first noticed the thoughts, and that's when I first noticed I had the opportunity to be like, and I think you can extend that to anything really. Like if you want to have a cigarette, if you want to quit smoking and you're thinking about having a cigarette, maybe you step back a second and think about what's causing you to want that cigarette. Is it just like been the timing? Do you smoke every 15 minutes? Is it something that you're actually really stressed about? And if you are, like maybe you could think about that and like what's causing you stress, and is this really going to de-stress you? Because interesting fact about that is that you actually get the dopamine hit before you even do the activity. So like me for drinking, when I see a beer or know that I'm around it, like I'll have that dopamine hit, and that'll make it so I want to go drink. But I already got the dopamine hit that I'm not going to get any more of it from drinking. I might get a little more, but I'm not going to get more from drinking. I'm just going to feel worse and worse and worse and worse and be dehydrated and get in that low vibration. It's interesting to realize that like, okay, I already got that dopamine hit. So if you wait and sit back just like 90 seconds, it'll pass and you won't even really be craving that anymore. Now, at first, if you're a chronic smoker, obviously you're still going to have those cravings, because when I quit smoking marijuana, similar thing, I would be like, oh man, I'm just really craving this. Like, let me go do this instead or whatever, or try to observe my thoughts, and that's, it'll pass. And then another 10 minutes. Oh man, I wish I could smoke right now. But getting that out of the house was the most important thing. So I didn't have anything to reach for. Same thing with quitting alcohol, like don't have it in the house, which luckily we never did. And we didn't drink. We're not home drinkers, but it was pretty easy to convince my fiance to be like, hey, let's go drink. And we'd go do it. So, but But this episode isn't about quitting anything. We can have a conversation about that another time. So when it comes to observing your thoughts, you can kind of do it with any kind of like any thought you have. I would spend the next 24 hours, maybe 48 hours after hearing this, of just observing your thoughts and not reacting to them, and seeing, what kind of thoughts you have, and what you usually would do when you had those thoughts, like what kind of reactions you would have to those thoughts. And you'll notice that like your mind doesn't have any power. Actually, your brain will think for you, and it's a good tool to use, but it doesn't have power over you. You just think that it does because you haven't done this practice yet, and the more you do this practice, the more you realize like, is stress even real? Now, I don't want to go into that right now because I feel like I can make the whole world mad, talking about is stress real or not. And obviously stress can definitely feel really real, especially when, things are happening like in the moment. But a lot of times, there is no bear, there is no tiger, there is no, threat around you, and your body feels like it is. And it's usually because of the thoughts that we're thinking. Your body doesn't know when you're actually in front of let's say a lion's right here. If the lion was right here, or if you were thinking something similar that made you feel those same feelings that the lion was here, that you were in immediate, danger. Your brain doesn't know the difference, so it's sitting here thinking like, oh no, we're gonna die. So it shuts off, all the other blood flow that it's not using, such as like the stomach. It shuts off digestive. It shuts off the brain flow because it's putting you in fight or flight. It doesn't want you to sit there and think about things too long and then get attacked by that animal. So it's going to put you in a bad spot. So that's why, reacting and putting yourself in these stressful situations, reacting to your thoughts is troubling. It's something that you want to try to avoid. So yeah, that's what I've been doing the past like week and a half or 2 weeks now since I've been, done drinking. And it just, it started with the no alcohol and like thinking of the times when I want to drink and, realizing those issues. But I really started to extend it to, my other thoughts too. Just like when I wake up, I've been without a job for like since COVID, but I've been able to fund myself with the jewelry that I make. I do video edits for some people and things like that. So I haven't had any. I've had income and jobs like that, but I haven't had any had to actually go to work, which has been like a blessing. Been so nice. But there's some days I wake up and I feel like, could I be doing more, or could I or stressing about maybe like, I'm not doing enough to help out or whatever. I should be going to the gym, I should be doing that. And, sometimes it's just like, everything's okay. Things are all right. And if you just like take a second, take a breath and just calm down and don't react to those thoughts, because, having all those thoughts is just going to make you feel stressed when really nothing's going on. If you really want to attack those things and do a little bit more, make a plan and start doing those things. But sitting there worrying about it and worrying if you're doing enough and this and that, it's like, that's not helping. That's not going to do anything. So observe those thoughts instead. Take a moment and realize, okay, actually everything is fine. I'm still contributing. I'm able to, I've never been behind. I haven't been behind on my bills in 4 years. You don't have to ask for money from people. It's like, you're good, So, that's that's a little, that's pretty much what I'll say about like observing your thoughts. It definitely it'll feel hard at first, but it's something I recommend trying to do. That's kind of why I did this podcast today. Like I started doing a podcast, I don't know, sometime last year, and I've only completed, I think, 2 episodes so far. And they say the podcast, only reason why your podcast will fail is because you never get past episode 2. And it's exactly what happened on 2 different occasions. But this one, Breathe Into It podcast, this would be the 3rd episode, I want to say. It might even be the 4th, but that's why I started this podcast, or shot this podcast today by myself, because usually I want my fiance there. We got to be in the right mood. I got to set it all up. And that's just excuses that I'm having for not putting out my content, not putting out my work that I want to put out. So, instead of overthinking it, I just decided to make a plan today that when my fiance goes to work, I'm going to set everything up and just put this mic up and just talk into it. Maybe the information will resonate with you, maybe it won't. I find that when I stumble across a podcast, that it's usually what I'm looking for. I feel like we put things in our way so that we can see them and learn from them. And you can learn from anything that you see and hear, or someone you talk to. So, maybe this is a little bit messy, but maybe it resonates with you in a way. Maybe you've been overthinking too much, and this is your moment to be like, these thoughts are going a little nuts in my head. Where are they coming from? How do I feel about this one? Or like, why am I thinking this one? Or and don't judge yourself. That's the biggest thing when it comes to the observing your thoughts. Like, don't judge yourself, and you'll realize that these thoughts have no power. And you also get deep enough to realize, like, if you're watching these thoughts, who's thinking them? I don't know, but that's a conversation for another time. We can go deep down that rabbit hole. But yeah, I want to kind of finish the second half off here with a story of the why I quit drinking and how I feel about it today. The reason why I say I'm glad I quit drinking is because it's such a low vibration like activity, that it was every time I'm realizing like things are going wrong in my life, or I'm feeling low, or I'm feeling the most depressed about things, it's when I've been drinking. Not like the night before. I just mean like during, I like just drinking on weekends or sometimes weekdays. But in that time frame, like in those times of like the moments of my life I'm feeling low, it's during the times I've been drinking. So I felt the most I guess high vibrations. I felt the highest energy, the most love for myself, because self-discipline is the highest form of love. Just want to throw that out there. Was when I was sober, and that's why I was like, I shouldn't have. I'm not beating myself up over it. It's just I wish that I hadn't. But you can't cry over spilt milk. You just have to learn from those lessons and move on, which is why we're here today. But it's a good lesson that I've learned though, because speaking of being in higher or lower vibrations, like, I'll just tell a story, I guess. When I was sober the first time, I had been sober for a year or so at this point, and we were vending on the beach. And during January, times are kind of slow, but it's still, people will still be out there. And it was slow. It was just end of, Christmas was over, so no one's really buying that much. We hadn't been selling a lot, and we've been kind of being a little bit lazy about going out there just because it's slow. When it's slow, you don't want to go out there, but we still forced ourselves to get out there because it's about showing up. And every single day I would be waking up at 5 a.m. and immediately go running. And when I was running, I feel like that's a good, energy flow that's going. And while I run, I usually say mantras, not mantras, words of affirmations. Yeah. So I'll be saying those. Like, so I'll say, money comes to me easily. Money flows to me easily. I attract money. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm a source of energy. Just say things like that over and over again on my little 15-minute run every morning. And I'd run, and then come home, breathe, meditate, and then work out, and then take a cold shower, and then I was on with my day. And we were, like I was saying, it was kind of slow. It was closer towards the end of that month, so we were like, oh no, we're not gonna have enough money to pay the bills, because like all of our money from our business, me and my fiance both work it, and we both only do that. So we heavily rely on that, income source. And we were just kind of like, man, we're not going to make, well, I wasn't like that. I try not to worry about things. And this is what I'm gonna, this whole like not reacting to your thoughts part. And also the drinking being in a lower vibration, higher vibration. So I wasn't drinking, I was sober. And I just kept telling my fiance, like, don't worry, like something is going to happen. Like, we're going to figure it out. Like, we'll make it. And like, if we don't, we'll find a way. We'll find a way. And I'm always trying to be very hopeful, because she stresses about a lot. Even when it's good, she'll still kind of stress about it just because she's always worried about the outcome. And I totally understand that. Like, she's, the business is kind of like under her name. So it's like, she feels like, it could either make it or break it through her, and that could break her or whatever. So totally understandable. So I'm always trying to be there for her. And when she is stressing, I do more around the house. If because we have a deal where I cook and she'll clean after I cook. In those times when she's stressing, I'll do it all, and I don't really ask for it. She gets a little bit like, hey, I was going to do that, but I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. I know you're stressing. Like, just, let's not worry about things right now. That's what I feel like. That's the whole love is an action thing, which I'll make a whole podcast about that another day too. But anyways, I just kept telling her, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Something's going to happen. And every day I'd run into this, manifestation. And then one day, if you're watching this on my TikTok, I have a video of this on my TikTok, but this guy from That Was Epic showed up at our table one day, and we didn't, I kind of recognized him. It was him and Phase One, or Phase Rugs. They came to my tent, and they were kind of like being weird, like asking like how much silver's on your table, and I was like, oh, well, this is all like stainless steel jewelry, so it's not like super expensive. And he's like, okay, no big deal. And then he went and talked to his buddy over there in the corner, and I was like, something weird's happening. I was like, no, whatever, doesn't matter. And then he came over and he's like, hey, could we give you $2,000 to buy out your whole table, and $2,000 or $3,000, or how much? Or maybe he asked me like, how much would you want for that? And I was like, kind of thinking to myself, like, geez, like how much would everything cost? Like, I don't really know. I was like, I don't know, $5,000. I just threw it out there, and I was about to say no, $10,000, but he's like, deal. You said $5,000, which is like amazing. I'm not complaining at all. And what the deal was is he'd give us $5,000, and we would give out stuff for free for a while. And we ended up doing it for a little bit longer than they were even there for, just because it felt really good for us too. But that's my whole message within that story. Is like I was able to let her know like it's gonna be all right, and if you have faith and believe in things, and obviously you're not doing it from a place of lack, you're doing it from a place of gratitude. Like we still had a house, we still lived on the beach, we still had tons of friends. We were she was about to go on a big trip and everything like that, which she was using out of her like personal finances, not the business finances. So I know that it seems weird, but it made her feel better about going on the trip, because now our bills were paid. We were able to pay ourselves through the business, and she didn't have to worry. And then while she was gone too on that trip, like energy was high with me. Like I was just feeling so good about things that I was able to make I feel like double the amount of money every single day while she was gone too. Not because she was gone, just like I said, energy flow wise, I just felt like it was just her stress was over there in Costa Rica, learning to de-stress. That was her whole thing. She was yoga teacher training and whatnot, and I was back at the home front on the beach making the money, and it felt really good. And then when I started drinking again, I felt like I kind of had to lose myself again, And it's a slow burn. It's not like something I felt like just happened overnight. But like I said, I just quit like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago. And since then I've been, it's been 3 weeks, and I'm barely getting back like my energy to want to do the podcast, want to make content. Because while I was drinking, if you go back and notice on my page, like I wasn't making content, I wasn't going to the gym, I wasn't, motivating even myself. Like I just felt like I needed to find the motivation. I needed to, I don't know, I was just in this hard slump, and then I was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to quit alcohol, and I'm going to start doing this again. And then I got a freaking like cold sore on my lip, which I like haven't gotten in like 10 years or so. And I was just like, damn, this is what I'm talking about, like low vibrations. Like I'm drinking, I'm stressing, and then I get a cold sore on my lip. It's like, what the heck is this? And it made it so like I couldn't do content. I was really bummed about that. And I was like, whatever, I don't really care about any of this anyways, and I'll just get a job and blah, blah, being a very low vibrational person and complaining. And then we were working at an event one time, and I was like, ugh, gross lip, like kind of overweight, just like, ugh, and then my fiance came over, and because I'd quit drinking at this point, but it's only been like a week or something. And then I promised I was going to like get back on my thing. And then the universe has a funny way of like showing you like if you're ready or not, or like trying to prove to you and yourself that you're ready. And so that was probably a test that I, failed. And then I was trying to get back into it again. And then right when I was ready to go, I got sick. And that's kind of what I'm dealing right now. I'm on the tail end of this like sickness and stuff. But since the sickness, I really handled things a lot differently. Instead of reacting to my thoughts and in my circumstance, I was like, okay, like, what does this mean? What can this mean? And I believe it's just the universe telling me to slow down, keep doing what you're doing, and, slow down, take a breath, work on yourself, take care of yourself, eat nutritious, get better, and then just bounce back and start doing what you were doing, because we have a big mission over here on the Breath RX fam. We're going to be trying to do holding retreats. My whole goal with the company that we're building is we want to teach people how to meditate and de-stress through the breath, and exercise like yoga or regular exercise. And we want to teach people so that they don't have to come back again. But we also want to build a community that they can always hop into, and anybody can chime in and be like, hey, this is how you would do that, or if you're struggling in these areas, here's how this can help. And we just kind of want to keep that whole community live, and we'll be throwing videos in there and content and stuff in there all the time for free for them, stuff like that. So that's like an end goal for us. So yeah, if I'm gonna be, you know, trying to do stuff like that, trying to hold space for people to get on the vibration to heal themselves, I need to be healed from the inside out. And I feel like all these lessons that I get are always, you know, the universe being like, are you sure you're ready to do this? Because you still got to work on your reactions to this. You still got to work on your reactions to this. You know, how you handle this situation, how you handle, you know, patience. Like patience is something that I've been, you know, that's my biggest downfall, I would say, is I don't have any patience, and I'm trying to learn how to do, you know, patience. And I think the older I get, obviously, the better I feel about it. But yeah, I just wanted to hop on real quick and do this. I'm probably going to do more of the solo podcast. I'll have Kaylee on like every so often or so, and maybe even other guests and stuff like that. But for now, I think just hopping on and saying some few words, motivating, you know, mostly motivating myself. The one thing I notice about these videos is that it's a good little reminder. Everything I talk about is things that I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I could work on that right now. And that's kind of why I make the videos, is because I'm going through them at the time, and also I'm thinking about it, you know. So it's like something that kind of motivates me, puts me on that same vibration, that same level. And yeah, so I really hope that, you know, this podcast resonated with anybody. If you are still here, I appreciate you hanging out to the end. And if you could share this with, you know, anyone out there who is going through a rough time, thinking about quitting, or just wants to hear a good story, you know, then send them on my way. I really appreciate it. Till next time, guys. Peace out.